right, so very good evening to all of you and welcome to the very first edition of Joint Caucus for 2020. So you do know that on Monday, the NPP began caucus here on JoyNews when the General Secretary of the NPP, John Boyd, was hosted by the PR of the Ministry of Education, Vincent Akwasifa Jr. They were talking about the compilation of a new voters register and how they feel vindicated by, the total number of registered voters. And then on Tuesday, during Minority Caucus, the NDC talked about the PDS deal. So tonight, it's a Friday, the 14th day of August, and it's time for Joint Caucus because the NPP and the NDC will be joining us in studio as we look at the issues that have been making news in the course of the week, the issues that they have been discussing, the issues that they have been talking about, and talking about those issues that has made news for both the NPP and NDC. It has to do with the compilation of a new voters register. The NDC is calling for some internal independent audit. Well, the NPP says we've been vindicated. What do you think? Why are they calling for all these? Now, there's been lots of talk about whether or not, the register was actually bloated in the first place. Which party even stands to benefit from the compilation of a new voters register? My name is Winston Ameyaw, and when we return after this break, we'll be introducing our guest, and then the discussions will begin. All right, so welcome back from that break, and thank you very much for staying with us. This is Joint Caucus on the JoyNews channel, and I've been joined by representatives of the NDC and NPP. To my left is the representative of the NDC, that's Daniel Amartey Mensah, and then to my right, Kofi Ameyaw, representing the NPP. Gentlemen, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening, Winston.
Great. So we'll make it very peaceful. Yes, if you have an interjection or a response or a rebuttal, just write it down. And then when it's your turn or when your colleague finishes speaking, we would come to you. I'm sure we all agree on that.
Yeah, I'm very, very familiar with the rules.
You're very familiar with that.
And that's what I enjoy doing.
Great. So if all of you are familiar with that and that's what you enjoy doing, then let's get the ball rolling. And I'll start off with you, Kofi, because you were here on Monday, as in the NPP was here on Monday. And now you say that the register as we have it is a vindication of your position. How does this register vindicate you?
Let me say a very good evening to you and to my colleague here, Honorable Amartey, and then to your cherished viewers and to my party, the New Patriotic Party. Let me express my profound gratitude for them to give me an opportunity to appear on the first joint caucus for the year and for these elections. If you look at the records since 1992, after we went for the elections, the NPP has always held the position that the voter register is not fit for purpose. More especially when in 1995 we started doing a new registration. In fact, around that time when we used the CI-12, we did not require any Ghanaian or anybody to show proof of citizenship. So we believe that moving forward after 1995, the voter ID card itself has not been fit for purpose.
Yes, but so all those points are understood. You say what we have now vindicates your position.
Our position has
How
always
does
been,
it vindicate your position?
Our position has always been that the voter register was bloated with foreigners, was bloated with minors, and more importantly, it was incumbent for everybody to realize, as the EC admitted, that the entire voter management solution system was not supported by even the original equipment manufacturers, from enrollment to verification, to adjudication, to deduplication. So we have always held the view, and indeed, if you read Professor Jampo's article on the state of Ghana's electoral reforms, he admitted and stated clearly that the EC could not even fulfill some of the requirements and some of the recommendations that were even made by the VCR CRAP committee. And for that matter, going into the next elections was very critical, and that even the 2016 elections took a miracle for us to come at a point where we were all satisfied. So the point really is this. We have always believed that the current or the old voter register, that we use the CI-72 and the 91, were not credible, was not fit for purpose, and that was a position we took. In fact, when you go as far back as 2013 when we went to the Supreme Court, our position was that the 2012 register and even the elections were encapsulated with irregularities, malpractices, omissions, and statutory violations. So there was a need for us to have a wholesale and a comprehensive change of the voter management system, not just the voter register, because we realized that even in fact, when Abu Ramadan went to court, we challenged the fact that why do we have to use the National Health Insurance Card for registration? So these are some of the challenges that we held our position on. And indeed, the current Electoral Commission has gone ahead with the new voter register. And we sit here and we are satisfied to the extent that even the most serious critique of the entire registration exercise was the former president. Today he says he's satisfied with the entire exercise and that it met the expectations of not just him, but all Ghanaians as well. The minority chief also admitted that he's satisfied with the voter register. So we in the NPP, we believe that the entire voter management system was not fit for purpose. And this particular EC has been able to do what we've always believed in.
Well, so the foreigners that you complain about are still in the voters register. The EC admits that. So, I mean,
it admits based on the fact that people have challenged these individuals who went to register. So the over 30,000 people will go through the proper legal system, and at the end of the day, their names will be taken.
I hosted a show right here up front where the Director of Electoral Service of the Electoral Commission, that's Dr. Shibokwaku, admitted that, look, you don't need to be told. Minors always find themselves into the register. It's something you, the politicians, you have been doing. And you are the reason why we have minors in the voters register.
Winston, I am glad that we are going into the 2020 elections with a voter register that we all admit and accept that it's credible. We will go into 2020 elections and knowing very well that the elections will be transparent, free, and fair. And that is what is most important. As for the other issues, I believe the Electoral Commission is up to the task to ensure that we will go into the elections with a credible register. Currently, we in the NPP, we feel vindicated, and we are going into 2020 elections after the voter registration with our message and with our records to win the power again.
Thank you. Let me get to Donald Amartey. He spoke for 5 minutes. You have that same, including my own questions if need be. So he says they've been vindicated. You agree that it's a vindication for the NPP, or you think it was a waste of our resources and that the register was already credible and nothing has been done to it?
To be honest with you, I just doubt how my brother can say that they have been vindicated. To be honest with you, we are back to square one.
Really?
Yes, we are back to, just look at the figures. We are back to square one. You talk about Professor V.C. Crab report. The report states that the 2012 register, we have almost about 500,000 plus dead people on the register. But we all believe that so far as the biometric system is concerned, a person who has passed on, there is no way that person can go and vote on the voting day. From 2016 up to 2020, we can also estimate that we have about the same number of people who have passed on. So if you combine 2012 to 2016 and 2016 to 2020, we are talking about around 1 million people who have passed on. If you take those 1 million from the register as at last year, 2019, and you match it against the current register, because we were calling for a limited registration based on the statistics.
Now these figures that you talk about, how do you prove them? That you are estimating that 500,000 people have died. Where are you getting those figures from?
Well, these were also estimates that was made by Professor V.C. Crab Committee. They estimated that between 2012 and 2016, about a little over 500,000 people might have passed on. So we are saying that if within 4-year period, the report states that a little over 500,000 people might have passed on. It means that if you use the same yardstick in estimating between 2016 and 2020, then you are likely to have the same figure.
Have you looked at the voter exhibition exercise where Ghanaians are urged to come in there and show persons who have died for their names to be expunged from the register?
Oh, I mean, we know the attitude of Ghanaians when they come to voter exhibition. In fact, if you look at the figures, voter exhibition, the turnout has never gone beyond 20%. it means a lot of people don't go there to even go and check whether their name is still in the register.
I have always checked whether my name is in the register.
Yeah, but you are part of those who are less than 20%. I have also done that. I believe my brother might have also done that. A lot of people think that once they have the card, that's the end. You will go on there, and these are people who have had the opportunity to vote in they voted in 2012. So they believe that once my name is in the register, as at 2012, they believe that by 2016 the name should be there, and 2020 the name should be there. We were advocating for a limited registration, and if you look at the EC figures, the first time registrants, it's just a little over 700,000. If you had a 700,000 to our 2019 figures, we believe that if there's any party that should be claiming that it has been vindicated, it is the NDC and not the other side. We believe that we were calling for a limited registration, looking at the situation we find ourselves in and the money involved. And so if there's any party that should be actually shouting on top of the roof, it should be the NDC. Because we are come back to the same level. We are talking about 16.9 million people who have actually registered. If you look at those who have been challenged, the challenge figures is 37,000. Even let's even assume that those 37,762 are taken out of the register, will still be within the 16,600,000, which is very close to our last year figures.
So let's look at. Yes, I'll let you come in. Okay, you come in. Yes.
You see, the points need to be made clear, and we need to go back to the reasons the Electoral Commission gave as to why there was the need for the voter register. And again, it was not just about the voter register. It was about the entire voter management system. In fact, if you read the press statement that was made or issued as part of the reasons why they demanded for the new voter management system, if you may, let me read in part. It says, it is important to note that the equipment that the entire voter management system runs on, from enrollment, deduplication, adjudication, to voters verification, is obsolete and no longer supported by their original equipment manufacturers. This and many more reasons that they gave, that vindicated and that indicated that indeed we need a new voter register. Not just the voter register, but we also need new equipment.
Let me get to Daniel Amartey mentioned. So you make the point that first-time voters, first-time registrants, 762,944. So that's those who are aged 18 years.
Yes.
Those who are aged 19 years are 612,000. Hold on 1 minute.
Okay.
104.
Yeah.
Now, are you aware it could be that from the last time we conducted a limited registration exercise, there were people who qualified to register and did not register, and thus they were registering at the time they were past 18 years. And so we just can't use this and say these are first-time registrants just because they've turned 18 years.
Yeah, but you see, for the point of argument, if you look at last year limited registration, there was no registration in 2017. There was no registration in 2018. There was registration in 2019. You are talking about 3 years back. The EC registered 1.2 million. In fact, the EC started by saying that they are projecting 300. We said no. Then they came out to 500. We said no. They came out to 700. They ended up registering 1.2 million. We are saying that we have statistical service. They have been doing projections since 2010 when we had our census. And so they made a projection that based on the figures available to them, they believe that those who are qualified to register last year was estimated at 1.7 million. This year, the statistical service projection, if we are doing limited registration this year, was around 700,000.
But that projection you talk about last year, 1.7 million, 1.2 million registered. So if you bring it to this year and you're to carry forward the 500,000 that didn't register to this year, and here you are with an additional 600,000, doesn't that tell you that we're probably looking at
which additional 600 are you? Which figures?
Those who are 19 years. 19 years. If you look at the EC's documents, those who are 19 years who registered 612,104. And those who are 18 years, that's 762,944. So if you add this to, doesn't that tell you that indeed first-time voters could be in excess of 1 million. And in fact, 1.3 million. And that would defeat the point that necessary.
It means that the EC has problem with its projections. Because right from the start of this registration, the EC projected 1.50 million. We said no. If you check the statistical service figures, which is a little over 70 million, you can project 15 million. And we believe strongly that the figures we have, yes, the statistical service actually estimated 17 plus million. Because of the pandemic we find ourselves, a lot of people decided to stay home. They think that it doesn't worth it going out there and get yourself involved in these things. So there are people still there who are qualified to register who decide to stay at home. And you can just use your medium to check this. There are a lot more people there who refuse to go and join you, to go and register. And so if those people have come on, I can tell you that we may hit the statistical service projection. The fact that there are 19 years people who didn't register. Last year, if those people had been registered last year, they wouldn't have been part of the first year registrants. When the EC said that no, their projection is 500, we said no. Then they increased it to 700. But they ended up registering extra 500,000 more people than what they projected. So the question is, their projection must be scientific. It must have a basis for their projection. And no wonder they projected 15 million, and we are registered close to 70 million.
Great. So, yes, you want to make a reaction quickly, so we'll move on to what the figures mean.
No, of course. Maybe when we move on, we will look at the importance of this voter register and what its dynamics and all of that. But again, I want to state that let's commend the EC highly for a good job done in the midst of all the criticisms and the fact that our friends here told us that the registration will not happen, and to the extent that they told us that if it did happen, we will see a lot of people killing themselves and people beating themselves.
I think we have found that.
It's important that as we sit here talking about the voter registration, there's a need for us to remind our viewers that the vote pronouncement, we need to tell the good people of this country that the EC has done well, and that the faith and the credibility that you guys almost took away from the Electoral Commission is back and is strong and stronger than even before.
I don't
think so. That point needs to be made clear.
I don't think so.
So that when we go into 2020 elections,
because
if you look at it will be free indeed and peaceful indeed.
If you do the cost-benefit analysis, you realize that
he's breaking the rules.
Sorry.
Hold on. Yes, go ahead.
So, I mean, the point I want to establish here strongly is that this particular EC is very credible. And they've done a good job. And I believe 2020 elections, we will go into the polls very peacefully. Everybody will vote, and at the end of the day, every person's vote will be counted.
Great. So you're talking about the cost benefit analysis.
Yes, because if you do the cost benefit analysis, honestly speaking, any prudent manager of our electoral system would not say that an equipment that was acquired just 8 years will be obsolete and have to be discarded completely.
Well, but the suppliers of the equipment wrote
to be honest, the suppliers said they are more than ready to upgrade the system.
And the cost of upgrading was more expensive.
To be honest with you, the figures that was thrown by the EC was challenged.
By who?
By the suppliers.
Where?
Because the suppliers, we actually requested to have the details of those information.
But we
because you say you engage a consultant.
The court has ruled that the information be given to you.
Oh, when the process is ongoing.
Yeah, but the court has ruled now.
And I'm saying that.
So where did you get this information you're giving us from?
No, the EC provided those information.
Yes,
and we challenged that.
You say the suppliers challenged that. How do they challenge that through what medium?
Oh, the Imani wrote to the suppliers, and they responded that in the first place they have not been contacted. Nobody has come to them to talk about upgrading the system to start with.
That is not true.
Go ahead.
See, when you drew attention, I believe that
I'm sorry.
We decided to agree and obey the rules. Imani, Africa wrote to the suppliers, and the response was that they have not been contacted. Nobody from the EC has written to them. So the issue about their costs, because they are the people who will be upgrading it. And so if they have not been written to, where is the EC getting its cost of upgradement from? So those information out there were not accurate. They were thrown out there just to throw dust in the eyes of the public.
I'll get back to you. I mean, we'll cross-check those.
You see, I mean, the EC, its press statement, page 2 of the press statement, and it says, in a letter from our previous vendors, the STO, not even from the EC, in fact, the EC had written to them, and then the STO had responded. November 19, 2018, they stated as follows. If we would like to remind you that in 2016 registration, we had in total 47% failure rate for BVRs during the preparation to registration period. We had high rate of failure. So the point I want to establish to you that indeed the vendors wrote to the Electoral Commission and told them that the BVRs and the BVDs are not fit for purpose and that there is a need for them to change it. So again, the point needs to be made. We've had this very beautiful voter registration exercise. The next is the elections. Let's move on from there. Let's stop this bastardization, the vilification and denigrating of the commission and the commissioners, okay? So that at the end of the day, let's tell the people our records, our message, because based on these things, that they will vote for us. So the continuous attack on the EC will not help anybody.
Has anybody attacked the EC? I don't think
you are telling them they lied to us about their figures.
Let's move on.
That's exactly what you just said.
The very obsolete equipment you were referred to were the very equipment that was used last year.
And they denied that. Just 2 days ago.
I'm coming.
Dr. Kweku was on
Hold on. Yes.
It was the same equipment that were deployed in the 33,000 voting centers in the district assembly election.
This is scandalous.
Which one? Were you not in the country last year when they ran the district assembly election?
Yes.
They borrow equipment from other countries. The district assembly election, which was held in December, they borrow equipment from other countries. Were they not the very obsolete equipment they were referred to that were deployed in the district assembly election?
That's the case.
It was not the very easy.
Is he talking about the voter registration? Okay.
This very the same EC came out and said that the district assembly election has been very successful. Was the same that very obsolete equipment that is not good for anything was used in the district assembly. Okay. It was not even in, they were not running just a limited area, the entire country. So what are you talking of?
Let's move on. Let's move on now. And so, yes, we know we have a new register now. Exhibition and will be done next month. Now, let me start off with you this time around, Daniel Amartey Mensah. Yeah. So you've seen the figures: 16,963,306. If you look at those figures compared to the 2016 figure of 15.7 million, or maybe the 2019 figure of 16.8 million.
The 2019 figure.
You want to use the 2019 figure?
Yes.
Of 16.8 million. What does it mean for the NDC? If you look at your strongholds and numbers that you are recording, there's been a bit of a reduction. If you add the OT and the Volta region together, in the Western region also there's been a bit of a reduction. If you add the two together, and also in the Ashanti region, there's been a reduction. But if you add all these together and you look at them, what does it mean?
For us as NDC, we are actually, with all the challenges notwithstanding, we are okay with the figures, honestly speaking. I was involved so much in training our people for this limited registration. We spoke to our MPs.
As in voter registration? This is not a limit.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the voter registration.
Yeah, okay.
We spoke to our MPs and we believe that our compatriots who have come to Accra, it is important for them to be comfortable and register here. They don't need to travel back home, which has been the practice. I mean, these are people who are here. Some of them have been here for more than 10 years. But home is home. So they always try to travel home to go and register. Nobody knows tomorrow. Tomorrow, that person will go out there and go and contest as an assembly member. But we explain that you still have, once you are contributing your quota in your hometown, transfer your vote from Accra back home to go and contest for election. It's not a big deal. So why don't you stay here and register? And so we are not surprised. When we look at the figures, voter figures was short by 73,000. But we believe that it has made up for it in Accra. If you look at the Accra difference, because a lot of them were eager to travel. A lot of our people, we said, no, stay here, wherever you register. I mean, those places are not marginal constituency. So it doesn't actually bother for you to travel. Just stay in Accra and vote. And these people stay out here. And so, even though voter region has registered less by 73,000, we are comfortable with that. We don't have any problem. If you look at the figures distribution, honestly, if you pick our traditional 10 regions before the creation of the additional 6 regions, and you sum them up, you see where they are.
Where are they?
Oh, I mean, they are. If you look at the figures, currently, apart from Greater Accra and Ashanti region, if you look at the figures, Northern region is third now if you combine the 3 northern regions. It used to be Eastern region. Eastern region has occupied the 3rd position for a very long time. If you pick Savannah and Northeast and Northern region, currently they are ranked 3rd. So if in generality, I will say that we are okay with the figures and the distribution. I'm coming from Lejikuku. Our figures moved from 143,000 to 151. If you look at our Shaman figure, from 142,000, it is now 167,000. And so, if you look at the figures in generality, I will say that the distribution is okay.
Okay, I'll get back to you, and then I've been checking a statement that you made that, according to Imani, this thing, you know, STL said he didn't say that. So I've been checking the CSOs, the 18 CSOs that held that press conference. One of the things they say that, you know, the high quotation provided by the EC is because it is listening to a single vendor, that's STL, which currently manages Ghana's electoral data, the CSOs said. So they actually said the Electoral Commission was believing what STL was telling them, and that's how come they're quoting those high figures. It cannot be the case then that STL said it did not say that. Go ahead then. And what does it mean for the NPP?
Oh, listen, I've just stated here that, as you are aware, the voter registration was to satisfy or serve 3 purposes. One, to ensure that Article 42, that says every Ghanaian 18 years and above of sound mind can register and all of that. And then Article 45, that gives the functions of the EC, and then to the political parties as well. But what this voter register does is, for me, I call it a political census. That informs the campaign strategy and resources of a political party. So the figures we do have will tell us what we need to do and what we need not to do, where our resources should go and where they shouldn't go. For purposes of education on this platform, it's good. I'm happy the NDC now accepts that, you know, the figures are good, and in spite of the fact that they even went to UN, AU, and ECOWAS to challenge the voter exercise rate. But it's okay. But for me, I see that the MPP will win these elections massively when you look at the voter register. Because where the numbers have increased, you realize that what decides, and again, let me go back a little bit and say that for them to say, okay, the reduction in some areas in the region or constituency is as a result of the fact that they told their people not to come to, you know, some of the regions to come and register. I believe it's whimsical, it's a hunch, it's capricious. There's no evidence, there's no sign, there's no data to it. What is important that where we have recorded a lot of people registering, they look at the policies and the programs of a government. Thanks be to God, we have a situation where there's an ex-president who has ruled for 4 years and has a record. And then there's a current president who is currently in power and will rule for 4 years. So we can compare the figures.
That has informed the registration.
Again, you are breaking the rules here. So,
continue.
Thank you very much. So for me, this voter registration informs us as to what we need to do. As I sit here, if I look at the policies, the concrete proposals, and the strategies that we were able to put forth when we came to power in 2017, it tells me confidently that these elections will be easy for us to take, because clearly, a region like Accra is a place where a lot of people are doing businesses. And the backbone of their business is dependent on the supply, okay, constant supply of power. When the former president was there, who wants to become the president again, he was leading or ruling this country. We didn't have that backbone. We didn't have that resource, power. But Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has been able to provide us with that power. Wow. Okay, again, we talk about graduate unemployment in this country as a challenge. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has been able to do that. So when you look at the dynamics and where people are registering a lot, they look at the policy because they are those who are called the rational voters.
Let me interrogate this whole thing. I mean, before we get into what you have done and what you haven't done as out of your promises. If you look at the data, what gives you that assurance? So if you look at the Greater Accra region, for instance, what is it about the Greater Accra region and its previous data that gives you the assurance that they're going to be voting for the NPP and thus, bingo, it's a done deal for you?
Again, I just stated that a region like Greater Accra and the people living in it, they are more concerned about their daily living.
But you know that's a region that swings as well.
Yes.
So it can actually swing.
It swings based on the record. It doesn't swing just for swinging's sake. It swings because of the record, because of what the government of the day is doing or what the previous political party that wants to come to power has done. So for me, what we have done as a political party in government and the strategies and the policies and the programs that we've rolled out, it's enough to inure to our benefit regarding this particular registration exercise.
Let me get to the man from Greater Accra.
I think we need to do a little bit work on their figures. And maybe me get in touch with his National Election Directorate. You know, if you want to see how this whole 2020 election will show up. You know, last year we have district assembly election, which is non-partisan. But I can tell you that all the players are political animals. Just go and look at the figures. And you look at the voting trend. I'm coming from Lejikuku. I've been involved. I was a constituency chairman in 2008. I won that constituency by over 13,000. I repeated this as a municipal chief executive. The last year, GM won it, but we lost the parliamentary seat. But I can tell you that this year, I have looked at the figures because apart from looking at the national figures, I'm so also interested in my constituency. And I look at the figures and I'm so happy because every political party knows its rules. And I can tell you the turnout is massive. So my brother talking about power. For power, those in Accra, and I can tell you, like if you look at the Accra figures, this year, the vote will be interesting because it's talking about power. When we lost power in 2016, Accra was not having difficulties with power.
That's not true.
Yes, we had challenges with power earlier on. But as at December, there was no issue with power. But I want to assure him, they should have that feeling. We are very happy. We are looking at the figures, and I can tell you, after this election, and like you said, Accra is a swing region. And so the fact that in 2016, NDC lost Accra doesn't mean we are going to lose Accra. This year we are going to win Accra and we win it massively.
Massively by what margin?
Oh, I believe that NDC will win not less than 54% of vote in Accra. Not
less than 54%?
Yes.
You're going to move from your 45, 46%?
No, it's not 44. In fact, the last time it was 47. In 2012, it was 54.
So 46%?
It was 47. 47%. Okay. It was 47 plus.
And you're going to move from that?
Oh, yes. To be honest with you, we all knew how our brothers at the other side came to power. Their promises. And I can tell you, there are people in Accra. And that's why I'm saying that, you know, assembly election always serves like a midterm election. It tells you how the dynamics are going to show up. And so go back. You can check from Evans. And they will give you the information to tell you that it's not rosy as the way we are seeing it.
So in fact, you're suggesting that even the NPP admits they're going to lose Greater Accra region?
Oh, definitely. The figures, no, I'm saying no. I'm saying that you need to get the information from him. Assembly election is more or less like a midterm election. It tells you how the dynamics are going to show.
Now, you're telling us this is non-partisan.
But the people who turn up, you know, if you come to my constituency, I have about 247 police stations. I know the trend of each police station. I know the parties that each police station support. Every geographical location. And so even if it is a union committee election, the turnout will tell you that the enthusiasm is there. And so if you like, you can find out. In the last election, even though the assembly is non-partisan, if you look at where the figures are coming from, you don't need anybody to tell you that the enthusiasm of that particular session.
My question is, how can you use a non-partisan election
Exactly.
to assess your chances?
But they are the very people, the people who voted in the non-partisan election are the very people who are going to vote in the partisan election. And they have a track record. Like I'm saying, you can even go back to 2016. 2016, where our figures dropped in the constituency, our flag bearer won that constituency. And if you look at the last year assembly election, the enthusiasm to go out there and vote.
You have given me one constituency, Lejokuku, in making your...
No, that's what, no. It's, I'm using that.
If you move beyond Lejokuku,
a lot. I have.
Bring the lots in so that we can interrogate them also.
Oh, Accra, if you look at all the seats we lost in 2016, if you look at all the seats we lost in 2016, and you look at the midterm election, which is non-partisan, but you look at the enthusiasm, it tells you that one, we are going to take all those seats back. And there are other seats that we have targeted to win.
But which seats have you targeted?
I won't tell you.
Those ones that
I won't tell you.
Oh, you say you've targeted
No, I'm saying that we are going to win all the seats we lost back. And there are other seats we have targeted.
So you're going to win Crow, you're going to win Lejokuku.
Oh, yes.
You're winning
Kotepong. There's no two ways about that.
You're winning English, Yamanfro, Botano English, Yamanfro. You're winning all those seats.
I'm telling you, we are winning Madina back as well. And Adenta.
You're winning Adenta.
Yes.
You're not winning Adenta, I can tell you that.
Yes.
We are not winning any of their seat back. In fact, we are going to win everything. We are going
to win everything.
Some of, if not all.
But we also do know from the figures. Hold on 1 minute. We know from the figures that normally every government in its second year, or in its second term, or in its quest for a second term, sees a reduction in votes. Okay? So if that is the case, I mean, even in 1992 to 1996, when Mr. Rawlings increased number of votes, the percentage of votes decreased. That's what really matters.
That's true.
J. Kufuor from 2000 to 2004, his percentage decreased. Well, Atamils died before the 2012 elections, and so John Mahama coming in fresh phase had, saw their votes go up. But then, what happened is that by 2016, his votes reduced and he lost. So, how sure are you that you're going to be winning massively when the trend suggests a reduction in votes every second term?
I would have wished that my senior brother here would have told us why they would win some of the seats in Greater Accra or even the region. What were the policies and programs that they roll out that benefited the people of Greater Accra? But he didn't do that. No, but you've asked a question, and let me answer that question. You see, those trends and those dynamics are true, but they are not the same for 2020 elections. Because majority of the time, Ghanaians vote as a referendum on the incumbent, the government. If you realize 2020 elections...
You think the government has performed so well?
I'm sorry, sir.
I will get back to you.
2020 elections, we have an individual who has been a president for 4 years before. And then there's a government that is also there for 4 years. So it's not about referendum on the government anymore, well, to some extent, but not to a large extent. But it's about who do we bring back or who do we maintain. So Ghanaians are going to compare John Dramani Mahama, former president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, His Excellency, and what they did or what they have done. Okay, so 2020 elections are different. Your history is good, but the truth of the matter is that at the end of the day, it's not just going to be a referendum on the incumbent, it's going to be about on the records of the two individuals. So yes, sometimes the vote reduces, but in this case, I am telling you, Ghanaians are really going to look at who provided us with power when we didn't have one, who took away our allowances and who brought it back, who gave us jobs as against who took it back.
So based on the figures, facts, yes. So based on the figures, let's get back to the trends. Based on the regional trends, which regions do you think that your party will be winning?
In fact, we won about 6.
You won 6
the last time. We are going to maintain that 6. In fact, now we don't have even 10, we have 16. If you follow the trend, we are doing so well in the northern part of our country. And indeed, if you look at Nanado's administration and look at the policies, just recently he went to the northern part of our country and just commission a lot of water projects. The Pualugu Dam project is a huge one that will serve not just economic but social purposes for the people, and not to talk about Dagbo and all of that. So we are appreciating, and I am very optimistic that it's likely that we will take northern part, if not Upper West or any of the northern regions. We will take one of them, especially where I think Upper West. There's a likelihood that we might take it, and then we will still.
You have never won it before.
But we are close. We are close. We are very close. I think in one of the northern part of our region. In one of the part of the northern region, they just beat us about 2 or 3 seats. We are very close. So I'm saying that if you look at what we have done,
but the dynamics with seats differ from the presidential.
Exactly.
It doesn't really differ.
No, hold on a minute. So for the seats, you could have, and I'll give you a typical example. So in Laura constituency, the NPP's Anthony Cabo won by polling 8,000 votes. The NDC's Bid Zidding, and you can check that, Bid Zidding had 7,000 votes.
True.
Abu Samson,
Correct.
who was the incumbent member of parliament, contesting as an independent candidate, polled 5,000. If you add that, the NDC
12,000.
would have won.
Again, talking about trends.
Same thing with Savelugu. So you could actually see that when it comes to parliamentary seats, these things do happen. And we've seen instances also where presidential candidates have gotten more votes than parliamentary candidates, and vice versa.
I understand, but if you also look at the trend since 2008, the NPP has been appreciating their votes, even the presidential and parliamentary, in the northern part of our country. That's
true.
That's true.
Yes.
And I'm saying that when you look at 2020, and with the work that President Akufo-Addo has done, I am confident that we might win one of the regions.
Okay.
In addition to what we were. In fact, again, when you go back to the trends again, and I want to repeat that let's not think that Ghanaians vote because, okay, this is a swing region or all of that. They look at the records. They listen to the message. Unfortunately, we've not been able to be given or served with alternatives. In fact, the policies are not coming. It's either we are going to strengthen what is existing, or we are going to review, or we are going to cancel. Ghanaians need new things. And I believe that they believe Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who has done marvelously well, about 78% of his promises being delivered, will continue to do better, and that Ghanaians will give him for
70 what percent?
78.
78.
Yes, sir. And we are doing more.
The government's website had 388 promises.
True.
114 delivered. Some, an additional 189 pending or in the process. So 114 over 388 times 100, 29%.
I can give you that.
That's 29%
of the percentage we've done.
Yes.
Delivered.
I'm just
giving you the figures. 140.
When Dr. Ameyaw went to Kumasi and told us about what we have done, okay, we gave a percentage.
Yes.
As to what we have done.
Yes.
The point of...
And I'm using that percentage
okay.
to say that you give us the website. You say 388 promises. You had fulfilled 114 of them, as in, we're done with them. An additional 189 were in the process. And I am saying, based on that, what you have delivered is 29%.
I am also saying...
Money says what you are in the process of delivering, I think it's 48%. I mean, so if you add everything, 48%. That doesn't add up to the 78, but that will be the subject for another conversation.
But the point is that Ghanaians believe that the MPP, when we promise, we deliver.
Okay. I need to get to
I think that
Amartey, because for you also, hold on 1 minute, I'm asking the question now. I'll get back to you. Don't worry, we have time. We have some 5 minutes. 3 minutes, I'll give you 1 minute to wrap up. So you say, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do that, we'll do that. Based on what? Analysis?
No, we were talking about the trend, and I've given you that based on
you've talked about, so you're using assembly elections?
No, not only the assembly elections. I mean, we have done a lot of.
Share with me.
No, some of them it's not necessary for me to share with you now.
Now.
But I'm happy my brother is saying that Ghanaians are going to look at the performance of the two candidates the former president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and that's fantastic. You see, I will zero it in my constituency because let me use that one. It's one of the, and so this new registration, we are ranked third. If it is about development, you can find out from your member of parliament the kind of development he has brought to that constituency.
You mean Honorable Dr. Okubo?
Yes.
He has done well. Has he done
For
well?
where?
Wonderful
For where?
gentleman.
For where?
The Lekman Road.
Lekman Road. Do you know when it was started?
It doesn't matter.
I said, do you know when it was started?
When
you came to power,
all the achievements in your Gimbu.
Hold on.
Let's respect the rules.
Let's respect the rules. I'll get back to you.
When this government came, a contractor was working on the road. They stopped the contractor. They said they are going to do forensic audit. It took them 2.5 years to do forensic audit on one project.
Have the roads been fixed?
Yes.
No, it's not about the fees.
Hold on.
It's not about.
Have they been completed?
At a different cost. When you delay the work for 2.5 years, we need to look at the cost-benefit analysis.
And
the fact that the road has been done at double the price that the old contractor working on the road.
Let's have the figures.
I think that
He doesn't have it.
I think that the member of parliament himself was on here. In fact, Joy FM did a program at the Lekman Hospital.
Yes.
They did a similar one on the road. And he said that when they came, the contractor has certificate that have not been paid. The contractor was working before it was stopped. And he said, as a result of that, the cost of the project has doubled. All that I'm saying is that I'm happy they are saying that this year election is going to be based on the performance of the two leading candidates. And that's why some of us are happy.
So you're using Okuboy's
Not
word.
only Okuboy.
Personally, you've not given me figures, except that you're using what Okuboy said.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm also saying that if you look at the performance, it keep on saying about power situation in the country. But I'm happy. Ghanaians in general are listening to us. They are watching us. They know the power situation in 2016. Today, all the promises, and I'm happy you have made reference to their own website, not what he is sitting down here quoting. Ghanaians were promised heaven, but what has been delivered doesn't come near that. We were told about one district, one factory. My constituency is a district. In fact, I was called by the city MP telling me that they are coming to do an infusion factory near the Lekman Hospital. Up to today. Okay. We were told $1 million per a constituency. Ask him how many constituencies have received the 1 million. We are in the 4th year. Later, we were told that the $1 million equivalent are being used in building public toilets. So Ghanaians are waiting for you. And they are happy. They have the opportunity to assess the two gentlemen.
Okay, wrap up for me.
And cast their vote.
Okay, so 30 seconds we're going. Our time is up.
Winston, the truth of the matter is Honorable Dr. Okubo is going to win the seat. He's a fantastic gentleman. He has done a lot for the people in the Lejokuku constituency. And indeed, Ghanaians will look at the fact that there is a government that has brought free SHS. There's a government that has brought planting for food and job that's improving on agriculture. There's a government that has brought one district, one factory, and a lot more that if given the opportunity for another 4 more years, he will do more because one good term deserves another.
30 seconds.
Yeah, I'm happy he's talking about free SHS. I have 2 senior secondary schools in my constituency. Not a single block for the entire period has been laid in any of them. And so I want to assure him that, like promised by our flag bearer, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the free SHS will not be cancelled. We are going to review it.
Okay.
And this tracking system, after that one, it will be abolished.
All right. Thank you very much, Daniel Amartey Mensah of the NDC and Kofi Ameyaw of the NPP. My name is Winston Amartey. This has been Joint Caucus. We're glad that you joined us this evening. Keep watching the JoyNews channel. We'll certainly come your way next week. Up next is JoyNews Prime. You have a lovely evening.